Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bring Me Life podcast, episode 224. We're going to continue with our angelic theme because we've gotten a lot of good feedback about it, and we know people are out there listening to the information that we're learning along with all of you. So, welcome to this episode. My name is Silamon, and I am joined by Shannon Shine.
What up, humans? Thanks for waking up and shining on with us. I've always been excited to do these podcasts on angels, and I'm looking forward to doing more work with the angels. Been brainstorming a lot of different ways to bring you guys even more content, and I am happy to say that I'm almost sold out of my angel calendars.
Nice.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, and real quick before we jump into our topic about releasing shame, what inspired you in the first place to start working on your angelic paintings and the calendar?
Well, I think part of that was a lot of healing processing for me. For a while, I connected with angels and even fairy type entity energies. And I don't know, I was always raised around like angel figurines and a lot of angelic art, but it was always very like family friendly, I should say. Mm-hmm. And to me, the angels hold a very divine and more intimate connection. Like you see a lot of angels that are portrayed as like the cherubs and like the more like those childlike
baby
angels.
Yeah. With diapers on usually.
And then you also see a lot of very like feminine and beautiful angels, but to me they have almost an like ethereal, sometimes faceless type of energy that is also just very divine. I don't know how to really word it. You threw me on this question.
I think last episode you talked about it a little bit where you didn't really see them physically. Sometimes you felt them.
I felt them in their presence and like what their presence made me feel like. And, you know, sometimes it's like a really strong masculine angel and like this like warrior type energy. Sometimes it's, you know, a very like feminine and different forms of beauty type energy. And I think that's why it was important for me to create all different types of body types and figures. And a lot of my angels are typically faceless because I see them kind of as like an orb around their crown chakra. It's like so brightly colored.
Like and their aura?
Yeah, like the aura to them or like the coloring to them. And then they have sort of like a humanoidish body shape. But again, I think that's because that's what I relate to the most.
Right. Yeah.
And painting the energies was just a really powerful healing opportunity for me because I was struggling with telling people, you know, like I connect with these angel beings. Like my parents both died when I was very young, and I started seeing angelic energies in my dreams and kind of in my waking life. And when I say I seen them, it was like I'd be sitting around somewhere and my family would be all upset, and we were either in a hospital while somebody was, you know, going through a really tragic time, or after my mom died, or even just like there was a lot of abuse in my younger childhood home. And there were times that I would like hide in different rooms or like under a table or in closets. And when I would close my eyes, I would see this like shield of light, and it would feel like a presence that was there protecting me from things. And trying to explain that to like other humans was really hard for a very long time. And it made me feel slightly crazy. But at the same time, it was protective. It was loving. It was like this sense of whatever was going to happen was going to be okay and that there was a reason for it. So these angelic type energies became very comforting for me, even in some of my darkest times. And it was frustrating for me to not be able to talk about them and communicate about the connection I had with this energy to other people.
Mm.
So I just started creating it. Like even some of my youngest paintings and drawings as a small child were like winged creatures. Sometimes they would just be scribbles with like these like feathers and stuff coming out of them. And I remember even gluing like feathers to paper and trying to make wings. And
Nice.
I don't know, I've always had a fascination with angelic art. And there have been a few people over the years that have also been like, I've just always drawn these like angel beings. One being my friend Lori from Option 22.
Yeah.
She really connected with me pretty instantly on angelic art. And a couple of other artist friends through the years have always kind of been drawn to that energy too. And it seems like a powerful portal and way for those energies to come through us.
Yeah. I do believe that the angels are a way for a lot of our human brethren and sisters to connect with the divine, connect with source. And a lot of people even in religion, like who practice different religions, are like really connected to angels. Like my family grew up Christian and we learned about angels too. And like you said, there was some weird feeling about it when like you feel like you're channeling the angels, because in the Bible they call those people messengers when they receive messages from the angels. There's a few of them,
right? And it kind of got this weird modernized energy to it, and people started feeling as if they weren't capable of that kind of divine connection,
right? And I think we all have that ability to do it. So
I think we do too, and I think more people connect with the concept of angels than even know how to admit it. Like I said, though I grew up in a rather abusive home in some ways, I had extended family members who collected angel figurines, and some of them still do. And it was like every time I went to visit them, they had a new angel or they wanted to gift me an angel. And I've been getting angel gifts since I was a small child.
Yeah, my aunt, actually, the first time meeting you, when
she gave me an angel.
When you met like the whole side of my mom's family, it just was like the very first time just came up to me with this angel thing and was like, didn't even ask about you. She was like, do you know anybody who would like this? And had like the biggest grin on her face. And I'm like, I know who you're talking about. Like, you can go give it to Shannon. I'm sure she would appreciate it. But she was so excited to
and it's wild like that. Like, people that have never met me just feel this angelic energy. And I don't want to say within me, because I guess that's part of my like programming too. It's like, I'm not saying I am an angel. I definitely do some not angelic things in my existence. But we all do. There's something about that angelic frequency and presence that has always fascinated me. And people have been giving me angel figurines, angel charms, angel books, all kinds of angelic things since I was a small child, even before I was like openly talking about the angels to other people, because I was afraid of it. And I guess I was in passing, but not as in depth as I am now, where I'm just like, like angels channel through me. I have conversations with them like they're my homies. Like it's different too. Like I said, some of my closer angel connections, they are like friends, and they have like transformed over the years with me, which I think has been pretty wild experience. But yeah, your mom collects some different angel things. Your aunt collects angel things. Both. I have two aunts that are obsessed. Three, four. I have four different aunts, great aunts.
Dang.
Cousins.
Everybody, all of your family.
But at the same time, if I told them, hey, I think I'm channeling angels, they still like kind of look at me like I'm a little crazy. Yeah. Even though they have like hundreds of angel figurines all over their house.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting, I find, is like my family feels the same way about me. I literally wrote a letter to my nephew about channeling angels. And he showed my brother, and my brother was like, I think you're on a path to the devil. And so, like, my family had that same kind of reaction to me, but for some reason, when I came here, it seemed like your aunt and your family were, like, they treated me like an angel, like an angelic being. Like, your aunt was asking me all these questions about, like, spirituality. She was asking me about angels, like, very intensely.
And I think it's interesting because I feel like my aunt is more willing to accept that you channel angels, and your aunt is more willing to accept that I channel something.
Yeah.
She she drills me quite frequently on like what I think psychic abilities are and channeling is.
You'd have to say that.
I'm not calling out which aunt.
Tell me after. That's so interesting because I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, we went to visit one year for like Christmas Eve, and you and your sister went on a like venture to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting in the living room, and your aunt comes over and just starts asking me all kinds of questions about what I think it means to be psychic, and all these different questions about angelic energies, and if I think I'm really talking to dead people. And it's like, no, I think it's more their soul and a fragment of their energy, because energy can't be created or destroyed. And when I was little, I had a really hard time really deciphering what the difference between an angelic energy and like an ancestral energy was. And, you know, I think for some people it's very much intertwined. Like when I was little, people would be like, your mommy's an angel now. Mm-hmm. And to me, I was like kind of picturing her with wings, and she is a guardian. But at the same time, like, she's lived an earthly life where the archangels, most of them, have been immortal beings for their entire like existence. And I guess in some senses, kind of unraveling that now, we're technically immortal beings with body experiences. Mm-hmm. But that was something that was really interesting for me growing up. And even now, like, I still have people that are like, so what do you mean you talk to angels? And does that mean you talk to like spirits? And it's like, I do, but they're also very different experiences between channeling spirits that have recently just, you know, transitioned from physical life, like a mom, a dad, a sister, a son, or somebody who you know, versus, you know, like channeling and working with Archangel Michael. But it's kind of the same idea where, you know, it's what you're willing to open your heart up to, because I think everybody has the ability to do both of those things. And it's what you're willing to believe is possible. Like, if you think life ends at the end of your existence in this physical body, and that nothing exists beyond that, then it is going to be hard for you to open up and continue to have a dialogue with, you know, your transitioning loved one. But at the same sense, like, the thing that was downloaded to me when I started working with these energies and was like, what is it that I'm connecting with? What is it that I feel so deeply is not me speaking to and through me? And spirit was like, it's an extension of them. Energy can't be created or destroyed. That's one thing I remember from science class. And it's like, if it can't be created or destroyed, then this physical vessel is just harnessing that energy and that essence of a being. And the loved ones that are sometimes called angels then become an angelic presence, like Archangel Michael or Gabriel or Raphael. And it can be all knowing and all accepting and anywhere and everywhere all at once, so that basically anybody can access that energy and channel it to and through others. It's a little bit woo, but this world is capable of really crazy things. Mm-hmm. And the presence of angels has been spoken of literally forever. Yeah. And there was a burst of it in the 90s, which I think is why so many of our aunts and parents are like, here's the figurines. And like, Doreen Virtue was pretty big then, and she talked about them a lot. And then she kind of like went off course and went rogue. And I think it's because, you know, this is just my personal opinion, I think something scared her along the lines of realizing, you know, like, if so many people were doing this, then she would then lose power, and any other beings that may have, you know, threatened her would lose power. So it's like being able to open yourself up to the idea of the connection that the angels have and that your ancestors have is so, so powerful. And it's also like this ability to, you know, let go and be one with the universe around you, and know that there's something bigger than you that is capable of helping guide you on this journey.
So, I mean, you had mentioned about when you were doing this, especially earlier on in your life, you had felt like you couldn't tell people, or if you did, they thought you were crazy, things like that. And did you felt shame for it, and did that hinder you from connecting more deeply with them, like with that whatever beings, angels or whatever?
Definitely in my teenage years. I want to say once I hit like middle school, I got really angry kind of at spirit, and I was going to church regularly, and I would be sitting at church and I would like listen to the sermons and I would listen to all the different people talk, and I would hear these questions and these concerns kind of rise up in me internally. And it wasn't even just like me. It kind of felt like this energy that was bigger than me that wanted to question like how things were being taught in the religious standpoint of it, especially when angelic beings were brought up. And I remember once trying to bring it up in youth group or something along those lines that, I was channeling angels. And in the Methodist church, they're pretty open-minded for a lot of things, but they just kind of looked at me. And I remember one of the people in charge, like going to my grandma and my aunt after and being like, so she thinks she's talking to angels. And they were like, yeah, she's just really traumatized. She's lost both of her parents. And it's like, it didn't really feel like it had anything to do with that trauma.
Sounds like pretty messed up. You're in a spiritual place and they're like judging you for saying that you talk with these divine beings.
Right, because they were like, she thinks she can talk to Saint Michael. And I was like, because he's been helping me since I was a small child. And then it was like, I don't know. I think it was kind of like they actually like put me in therapy briefly for some different things because of the grief processing of my parents. And they were asking why I thought I was channeling this energy. And I said, because it protected me. It would tell me different things like, like one time I got lost in a store when I was like 7. And I was freaking out because I couldn't find my family anywhere. And I remember crawling in like the bottom shelf of like a store back in like the 90s and like hiding for a second. And I was just like, I did like a little prayer or meditation, and I was like, I just want a friend or somebody that will help me find my parents. And this like energy came into my heart and was just like, if you go over 3 aisles, there'll be this person there and they'll help you find your mom. And this person's name will be Mike. And I'll be like, okay. So I like got out from under the aisle and I like ran over 3 aisles, and I can specifically just remember this like kind of like middle-aged, probably like my age now that I'm thinking about it, probably this like 30-year-old dude that was just like in this aisle. And in the 90s, he could have easily kidnapped me, but he just kind of looked at me and he was like, are you missing your parents? And I was like, is your name Mike? And he just like kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And he was like, let's find your parents. And they like helped me find my aunt like a couple aisles over. But it was like, I had tried to explain moments like that to either a therapist or to like an adult, and they just thought it was crazy or just synchronistic, but it kept happening over and over and over. But in my teenage years, I tried to explain it to certain friends, and they just really thought it was crazy. They were like, oh, this girl thinks she's talking to something. And it's like, it was never bad, and it was never like I was speaking out loud to it. It was always in my heart. And it would also tell me things when like certain people would need messages, or if somebody was like losing a loved one, or if somebody really needed a friend that day. It was just all these like intuitive nudges to be at the right place at the right time, and to be a friend for someone or to hold space for someone. And over the years, I've had so many people reach out and be like, I don't know how you knew I needed a friend that night, but you basically saved my life, or just things like that. And I was just like, I just followed my heart. And it would be people I hadn't talked to in a long, long time. And I feel like this happens for so many of us, and so many people just shrug it off because they don't want people to think they're weird and be like, oh, so I just had this internal thought that I needed to connect with you. But if more of us would act on that, think of how much better the world would be.
I know for myself personally, I've done that before. So what are some things that have helped you personally to get over the shame of talking with angels and kind of sharing it with the world? Because I know that the world is changing right now. Like, people who talk and believe in angels are like coming out, but also people who weren't open to that before, I believe, are coming more open. Like my mom even was sharing stories about her angel experiences and like telling me that she doesn't think I'm crazy, and like me telling her my stories about connecting and channeling the angels. Like her eyes light up now. Like it's a whole new world. And like, I know you've probably worked with psychiatrists even and they are like coming to you because you work with this. So it's changing. So how can people get over like letting go of the shame or the guilt of thinking that they're like whatever, you know?
First of all, there are so many people out there that you would be amazed by that connect with these energies behind closed doors. I have CEOs of big companies. I have people with PhDs, master's degrees, all these different degrees in counseling and psychology and lawyers and doctors, and they all come to me for the same thing. It's that they feel this deeper connection and they've been programmed to think there's something wrong with them. And it's been so powerful for me to just be able to hold space and be like, you're not crazy and you're not alone. And one of the reasons that it became even more clear to me was when I started journaling pretty regularly. And I've been really kind of slacking on it recently, but journaling was so powerful because I've found recently some different notebooks and stuff, even from like my teenage years when I wasn't talking about it out loud, where I had written down things or scribbled things and different memories or different channelings or things that I thought were going to happen that have happened, that I feel like were channeled by those energies. So journaling is super powerful, and being willing to, speak about it in little ways here and there and just kind of like gauging the people you're with so that you can feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. I find that, not going balls to the wall with it at first is pretty important, because if you just start like ranting at people about literally anything, they're going to be overwhelmed and think you're crazy.
Some people just aren't ready to hear it yet, but take it easy. Share it as they're ready.
I think being humble about it too, and realizing that, at first I thought, maybe I was special, that I had this special ability that not only I, but I was like chosen to speak to them. And as
pioneer. And
I do feel like I'm a pioneer, and I do feel like I've been chosen to be, open,
like a way shower to show people that this is okay.
But I don't feel as if it's something that not everybody can access. It's a sense that you've got to just be willing to kind of unlock. And
yeah, it's like almost like some people, if there isn't a path there, then they might miss it. But some people are like willing to take the risk of like walking through the jungle and like cutting their own path down, and dealing with whatever kind of might happen.
I just started also like sharing dreams when they would appear in dreams, or just in passing be like, so I had this experience and it was like super angelic. I'm wondering if I could get your feedback on it. And that's how I would kind of start to introduce it into conversations.
Engage their interest.
And I would realize, like if there was some interest there, that usually those people were looking for a segue too. I think it's part of my, it is one of my magic powers to figure out how to invite conversations, because once I get into conversations with people, it's very hard for me to get out of them at times.
Yeah.
Especially
even if you want to, like, you'll keep it going without trying.
When channel opens, it's part of that thing though. Like I let it channel, and it's not even just me. Like these energies, they want to be heard, seen, and witnessed, even if they're just being witnessed as a conversation between two normal people.
Yeah. And now, did you have to do something, like, do you have to give permission for that to happen? Like, how did you start doing that?
I think along the lines I gave permission for it. There used to be times that I would be super quiet and I'd be super shy, much more introverted. And then there were just certain points where I wanted to communicate with certain communities so badly that I'd be like, Spirit, can you just please like channel through me and give me like the confidence or the clarity to help this person or to be there for this person. And I think it came a lot through my grief processing. When my grandma was dying, honestly, when all the different people throughout my family have died, it's been an up-leveling. I used to say each time someone died, my gifts got stronger, but I think it was just more my determination to be a channel for my family members who are still learning and still like thinking they can't communicate. But specifically when my grandma was passing, like right before you came, I remember just begging the universe to use me as a channel to find ways to heal her or to help keep my family somewhat sane, especially my aunt, because she was like kind of begging the universe for any sort of answer or sign that things were going to be okay. And I just remember there were certain times she would like look into my eyes, like almost begging for an answer, and I wouldn't have one. And I would just close my eyes and be like, Spirit, take the wheel. Like, say something or do something, even if it's going to be painful, to like give her the sign or the angelic message that she needs. And it always kind of baffled me when like adults would come to me. They still do. Like I still kind of say like when adults come to me, here I am at 30. And but what I mean is like people who have more life experience than me are willing to listen to these channels. But I think it's because once I open the channel, you can kind of see it. And I think you can with a lot of people. There's just something about them, and they probably don't even always know they're channeling angels, but you can give permission to answer your question in short form. Yes, give permission and allow yourself to flow with what comes to you. And I say to do that in a way with love. And sometimes hurtful things may come out, but don't do it with a hurtful intention. And I think that's why I can express a lot of really frustrating things to people without them getting as frustrated, because you just open this divine channel and allow Spirit to take the wheel.
Hey, I like to start off sometimes if I'm having trouble. I'd like to start off with questions, but I think that permission is probably the biggest step, I think, in my personal opinion. And, you know, even like you think about it, and I grew up Christian, and in that religion, a lot of people were like, or a lot of like, the thing was you had to ask Jesus into your heart. You had to accept Jesus into your heart in order to like see the kingdom of God or whatever. And so it's kind of like similar to me saying like inviting the angels into your heart, or like inviting them to assist you in your life, because you know, you have to, there's just this weird thing called free will, where like, if our soul was incarnated to experience certain lessons, certain difficulties, then we kind of like have to go through those. But when we kind of become conscious and aware of all of that, of the lessons we're here, of whatever karmic cycles or whatever, then we can ask the angels to come in and assist us. And even though, you know, they might not be able to zap their wands and just send us to a special place, like they can help transition. They can help us transition. They can support us. They can like call in opportunities that we can act on. But like with the free will, we still have to act. Like we still have to take the action. If they send us somebody and somebody like sends us an email that is in response to a request we have from the angels, we can ignore it and nothing will happen. Or we can act on it and then there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of, it goes to my analogy of life's a video game, and the angels are like characters. They're like the opposite of NPCs, but not really. They're kind of like the NPCs that you can not control, but ask to help you. Like some NPCs, they can't like leave their normal day-to-day routine, but then there's certain characters that you can like take along the journey with you, and they can help you once you unlock them.
Yeah. Do you remember the paperclip on like computers?
Dude, I do remember the paperclip.
Like
on
you could
computers.
ask that paperclip to help you.
I had one that also, it was called a bonsai buddy, I think, and it was like a monkey.
Yeah, I remember the monkey. He would sing.
Yeah.
Did you ever make it sing?
Oh, totally made it sing. My angels sing with me sometimes too. But no, I think that's a good analogy too. Like you have to welcome them into your heart like Jesus, or like whatever god or goddess or entity you're working with. And once you're aware of them too, it's easier to work with them. Like even in this series, I introduced you to different angels you'd never heard of before, and now you've unlocked them and you have like access to their superpowers.
I've already created a few meditations with them now.
Yeah.
And I think they were super excited about it.
Yeah, and you can find those on Insight Timer?
On Insight Timer and on my YouTube. On YouTube, just search Silomon Official, and on Insight Timer, search Silomon, Selomon, it will come up.
Nice.
Bam.
I need to do an angel meditation.
Shannon is also on Insight Timer, and you have some angel meditations, don't you?
I have a pre-recorded one to connect with your angel. And then I do live streams every Tuesday at 12 Eastern time, and I'm starting to do them on Thursdays, I think at 2 Eastern time. And the ones on Thursdays are kind of more open live streams for you to come ask questions, whether it's about angels or crystals or chakras or any of the things that you like to hear me channel about.
Mm-hmm.
But Tuesdays at 2 p.m., Transformation Tuesdays, I've been rocking Tuesdays for a while, and they seem to be some of my favorite times, and I'm going to get some more angelic pre-recorded meditations up there in YouTube as well.
Awesome. Well, cool. This has been a really good episode. I think it's great because, a lot of people, I think, even myself included, did feel kind of like a lot of shame or guilt or whatever, based off other people's reactions, but things are changing, and I think we got a lot of tools. Was there anything like else in terms of advice or help that you could offer for people dealing with shame or guilt around this?
Even more so than shame or guilt, I think more about building up your own confidence with it is going to be an important step for many people in knowing like what is channeling and what is their ego. And something that really helped me along my journey was creating sort of not only just a dialogue, but almost like an internal symbol or sign dictionary. And I think I've mentioned this in other episodes where, like keep a journal and be like, all right. And if you don't have any idea where to get started, start with your numbers. There's a big phenomenon called the angel numbers. And there's a lot of collective meanings for those numbers. Like the 1111, it means like you're right on path, or like you're waking up, or you're like starting to work with probably like Metatron. And then recently we learned that most of the angels speak through numbers. And people are like, if this has been a thing, why has no one talked about it earlier? It's like, because we didn't have digital clocks before a certain time frame, and it's becoming a more common thing that they can access. I don't know. It works for me. It works for the collective.
Do what works for you.
Yeah, do what works for you. Maybe not question it that deeply. And if it's working for you and you're getting the messages, then that's what's important. Yeah. For some people, they receive animals. Certain animals mean certain things. I've been seeing lots of foxes lately. They've been a power animal for me. For a while, I saw peacocks and different things, elephants. They all meant different things to me. So I would write down those animals and what those animals meant to me so that the angels or my ancestors or whatever I was channeling could speak to me through those signs and symbols. But if you don't know where to start with the angel numbers. Write them down, 111, 222, 333, 444, any other power numbers that come to you. And write down what those numbers mean to you at first. And then if you feel so guided, do a research on it and see what the collective thinks they mean. And compare them or adapt to the one that feels most divinely in alignment with your communication style, so that when you start to see these numbers, you start to see these animals, you start to see these flowers or these symbols, whatever, you can communicate with this energy, because it might not just speak to you in words in your mind or that you can see or feel. It might be more symbolic. And a lot of my clients will come to me and they'll be like, how do you know it's not just in your head? And you know what? A lot of the things that are in our head become very real, because that's how we create reality. Mm-hmm. Man, I wish I could remember the Dumbledore
Where our thoughts
quote.
Go, energy flows.
There's a Dumbledore quote that's perfect for this.
Oh, say again what you said. Maybe I'll.
Just because it's happening in your mind, why does that mean it's not real, or something like that? But I literally read the quote earlier in something else, and it made me think about tonight's discussion, because that is a thing, is so many people are like, well, how do you know you're not just making it up in your head? If my head and my imagination can make up some of the amazing messages that have channeled to other people, then by all means, yeah, I must have a really great imagination. But I'd like to give credit to something bigger than me, because I've channeled some really powerful and amazing things. And people were always like, how did you come up with that? And I'm just like, I just held space for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ideas and angels and energy will flow through you when you allow it to. And when I feel the angels starting to kind of send me messages and flow through me, I feel like this just raising of my vibration, I feel lighter, and I just feel kind of almost like a shiver up my spine of love. It just makes me feel really good. those are just tells that I have when I'm like starting to connect with him. So I also think that, like, some people on earth kind of like reflect the angelic beings, but also have this deeper awareness that like we all have aspects of all the angels within us. And like when we're quote unquote channeling them, like we're tapping into those aspects, being able to do that, because we're all one in my mind.
We're all one, and you're not alone, and you don't have to feel alone, and you don't have to feel crazy. And I found the Dumbledore quote.
Nice.
Harry says, "Is this all real, or has this been happening inside my head?" And Dumbledore looks back at him and says, in his big figure, "Of course it's all happening inside your head, Harry. But why on earth should that mean it's not real?"
Hey.
I think that's powerful.
That is very powerful.
So many things start just because they're in our mind. And if they're in our mind, it's probably happening in someone else's mind too.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. I am grateful for all your wisdom that you shared with us today. We might still have more to talk about with angels. We have another maybe 2 episodes left of the year.
Next week is the last episode before Christmas.
Oh,
what?
Snap. Well, get those Yule logs ready.
It's coming. It's an interesting year. We hope that wherever you are safe, you are enjoying your experience in some way, and yeah.
Stay awake.
Shine on eyes. For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning, and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.